Hey, mate.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. And today we are talking about KKR versus Rajasthan Royals. We've missed quite a few games. Yeah, there's been some holiday stuff. That's why I'm looking very rosy cheeked. Which means that on the members own Benji's board already.
I am. You were going
Uh,
on too long already.
on the members only section of our channel, which you can join. The link is in the description, or if you're on desktop, I think there's a join button. Um, on that, we'll be catching up because we've still been watching all the games. We've kept up to date. If you follow us on our social medias like X, then we are keeping up to date on all the games, but we just haven't done any videos. So we're going to talk about KKR versus Rajasthan because that was an absolute banger today, but we will be catching up on the members only video. So check that out as well. Right. Let's just jump into it. It was a tale of 2 tons. Ooh, that sounds cool. That might be the title.
Title:
Um,
Tale of Two Tons.
Tale of 2 tons. Yeah. So Sunil Narine versus Joss Buttler. Um, I'm going to ask you a straight up question that's, not that easy to answer because they're obviously very, very different situations that they were scored in. But whose was better?
Oh, that's an awful question. I actually would say I think Joss Butler's was basically because he got them over the line. Like if Butler had lost his wicket, that's the end of that game. Like in a chase like we've seen from them to today. Yeah, Parag had a cameo, Rothman Powell had a cameo, but when they lose the Sanju Samson, Ashwin came in and for some unknown reason up the order, maybe to potentially try and stay in for a bit. But yeah, if at that point had Joss Buttler lost his wicket, would they have got over the line? I don't think so. Like he managed to protect the strike, he managed to get them over the line, and I'm just loving seeing Buttler in some form. That's 2 tons. He's now hit this year in the IPL. Continues to play incredibly, and with a T20 World Cup coming up in a few months, that's great news for England as an England fan.
Mm.
It's good to see Buttler hit himself back into form because he's had a little period where he struggled. Around the World Cup, he was struggling a bit. But yeah, I think it was a fantastic knock from Buttler today.
Yep, you are very bored though.
I'm not bored. I'm just very sleepy.
Yeah, we're getting back into the flow of doing podcasts, but I'm actually going to offer the opposite opinion, which is that Narine's ton was better because it still feels really unexpected. Like, let alone the fact that Narine has just suddenly reinvented himself as an incredible top order opening batter now. And that's kind of worth mentioning in and of itself because it's absolutely ridiculous that he is doing as well as he is. The guy's averaging 46 at the moment.
Hmm.
Where did that come from? But either way, he yeah, he's averaging 46 at a strike rate of 187. Just throwing that one out there. And he still, for me, feels like a bowler.
Hmm.
He's or at least a bowling all rounder. But the fact that he's making these massive scores at the top of the order for KKR is almost like single handedly dragging them into games. 109 off 56 is an absolutely outstanding knock, especially when, Phil Salt, his opening partner, got 10 off 13. Um, Raghuvanshi, he actually did all right. He had a cameo, but then nobody really stuck around with him long enough to actually
Hmm.
make a big difference. And you did mention that Joss Butler's knock was a little bit of a solo thing as well, but Jaiswal got off to a fast start. Samson had a fast cameo. Rian Parag had a fast cameo, and then Rothman Powell later on. So there was a stalling period in the middle, but he had other people offering that impetus. Whereas KKR, Narayan was pretty much a solo act for the vast majority of it, and it means that he's the one that has to put in that impetus, which is quite a big responsibility. But he took it on his shoulders and he played really well. I think his ability to just play like a village hitter at
Mm.
the top level of cricket means that for me, he has to play at the top of the order for West Indies in the World Cup. Like I want that's what I want to see. I want to see the pinch hitter. I want to see him do well.
Yeah.
I mean, I put out a team on X saying my suggested 11 for the World Cup, and I had Sunil Narine and Rakeem the Dream Cornwall opening. Just because it's two big lads mowing it over cow corner, and that's what I like to see. But it was incredible. Should we have a little chat about the bowling though? Because
Yes.
while there were good, definitely big elements, it was I think it was the highest successful run chase in the IPL, and it was a very high scoring game, and we've had a lot of them this IPL. That's worth mentioning as well. How do we think that people bowled?
I mean, if you look all the way through, again, Narine was the standout performer with the ball as well. He was sort of the only one that kept that economy rate down. Um, I think it was one of those bowling performances though where you expect if they're taking regular wickets, they're going to do okay and potentially be able to restrict Rajasthan. But they managed to, in this case, not. It was one of those times where they took regular wickets, but they still um but yeah they still um didn't quite restrict them down. What I want to say is as well as actually the fielding for Rajasthan, sorry, for KKR at times could have been a little bit better. I think they dropped Sanju Samson fairly early on in the game, which always leads to without Sanju Samson being dropped on 3, does he get that 30? Does it mean that there's a bit too much for Buttler to do by himself at the end? So I think with the bowling performance, it's an all-round bowling and fielding performance, isn't it? And like they all seem to be okay. Chakravarti, he bowled okay as well, So the 2 spinners for KKR today, again with the highlights, but it was the seamers really just weren't there. I mean, Andre Russell's over was just dispatched, wasn't it? And I think that is Andre Russell, the bowler, as always, like he was great, but I think the last sort of 5 years, maybe, he isn't at a point of where he was, especially he's been bowling at the death previously as well. So yeah, whether the bowling choices too were sensible for KKR,
Mm.
I'm not
Yeah,
quite sure.
it was weird because the first innings it was Trent Bolt and Avesh Khan that bowled well, and in the second innings it was then the spinners. It was Sunil
Mm.
Narine and Varun Chakravarti, and that wasn't what I was expecting. I was kind of you usually expect to see some consistency, but spinners in the first innings went for lots of runs, and then the seamers in the second innings went for lots of runs. Um, Mitchell Stark, he's somebody I want to
Mm.
pick out because it's really interesting seeing him how he's gone. He's been the most expensive person ever in the IPL, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really interesting seeing. You know, he hasn't necessarily had the same impact as the second most expensive, which I believe is Pat Cummins. So yeah, Pat Cummins. If we just compare and contrast the two, he has bowled himself primarily in the middle overs, but he has opened when he's needed to. He has averaged 21 at an economy of 7.87. And when you put that in the context of some of Sunrise's games, which have been incredibly high scoring, I'd say that is brilliant. Like that's
Yeah.
really, really impressive. It's not quite Bumrah level, but it's very impressive. If we contrast that with our friend Mitchell Stark,
I mean, he's only taken 5 wickets the whole of
he's
this
taken
IPL.
5 wickets in
He had
six
that one,
matches.
yeah,
He
that one
averages
performance against Lucknow.
46. He averages 46.4 with the ball, which is about the same as Sunil Narayan's averaging with the bat. And he's going at an economy of 10.54. So
Mm.
at the moment, he's being completely outshone by players like Mohsin Khan and Tushar Deshpande and Natarajan. And it's like, this is something you wouldn't really expect. So is it a case of Stark not bowling in the right roles? Is he just looking rusty? Or is there an element of like lack of adaptability to the situation? I'm not sure. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I mean, it's definitely been tough there. I think also, if you look at where his performances have been not as great, I mean, it was the first game against Sunrisers at Eden Gardens, and it was today's game. But he's also had his best performance, which was only a couple of days ago against Lucknow, where he bowled fantastically, took his 3 wickets. I think it's one of them with Mitchell Stark where because he bowls with so much pace and he bowls primarily early on when the ball is whole with look, he bowls the difficult overs, doesn't he? He bowls the beginning overs and but bowls the end overs. That's the hardest time in cricket to be bowling. So realistically, you are going to go for some runs. What Mitch Stark has is he does have that match winning factor. Like if you look at his performance against Lucknow, yeah, Phil Salt scored 89 or something not out the other day, but actually Mitchell Stark's bowling performance took 3 vital wickets, and really set KKR up to win that game. So he is a match winner, and I think that's what KKR paid for him. If you think about who they've had in that spot for the last couple of years, I mean, they had Umesh Yadav last year, who was a real diamond in the rough last year. Previously, they've had Lockie Ferguson. I know that he spent a bit of time now at Gujarat. I think he's at RCB this year, but he is that match winner, and he does know how to perform. And he also had a fantastic ODI World Cup in India. So I
Hmm.
think his price tag was potentially a bit of recency bias. Has he justified his price tag yet? I'm not so sure
Not
that
even
it's
slightly. Not
no,
even
he's
slightly.
definitely not justified his price tag yet,
Yeah.
but has he got the capacity to justify his price tag? I
Mhm.
think 100%. Like there'll be a game where Stark will take 5 wickets, and they'll bowl a team out for next to nothing. And I think especially in this IPL this year, where it has been so high scoring and like just let. I mean, this year's been ridiculous. There's been 3 record totals this year, and even the chase yesterday, the RCB, the failed chase would still have been like one of the highest totals before this IPL. I think probably the second highest score before this IPL. So it's been a ridiculous year. Why is that? Well, I think that there's potentially a couple of things. What's the rule change from last year? Well, it's the second bouncer. This IPL, they're allowing 2 bouncers. Yes, that was meant to even the playing field between batters and bowlers. Actually, at this level, are players good enough to play the hook and the pull and score off the bouncer? They're creative enough to be able to uppercut it. There's also been a lot of wides where people have been bowling bouncers and then it's been going for 5 wides. And also the tactic of very much at the death, not going for Yorkers at the stumps, but going for a wide Yorker has led to a lot of extras. So I think we've seen that the tactics for particularly for fast bowlers this year probably haven't really gone in the fast bowlers, best interest. Like, what have been the best performances with the ball this year? I mean, I think to um, who was it that got us? Well, you've got Mustafiz Rahman, who in the first game for CSK got 4 for. I'm pretty sure there's been a 6 for this year. No, there was
No, it's
there was
been,
a five for a few weeks ago.
so Yash Thakur's had a 5 for. So has Jasprit Bumrah.
Yash Thakur is the one that I want to talk about though, because he
Yeah.
he was bowling good areas and then good variations too, and that's how he picked up his wickets. I mean, Bumrah's a different breed. Bumrah
Yeah.
will just fire any Yorker at the stumps
Well, I
and
think that's a big thing, isn't it? Pathirana as well. Mahesh Pathirana and Jasprit Bumrah both have that ability to nail a Yorker and at a decent clip as well. And that has been a massive factor in performing well. Um, I think that's made a massive difference. But I think Pat Cummins, I've been incredibly impressed with the way that he's bowled. He is. he bowls like a hard length in the middle overs, and he just kind of sticks with what he's good at, which is test
Yeah.
match lines. And I wonder whether Mitchell Stark needs to either go for Yorkers more, because that's what's working for Bummer and Pathirana, and it's something that he's known for, or he starts bowling in the middle overs a little bit more. But then again, you've got Narine and Chakravarti, and that's kind of their domain. So lots of questions, but it was a top of the table, showdown between KKR and Rajasthan. And looking at the table now, it's still those two at the top. Rajasthan have won every match apart from one. KKR have won every match apart from two. So they are in, strong positions. They're both going against some very weak teams after this. Rajasthan go against Mumbai next. KKR go against RCB next. So they've got a chance to really put the hammer down. I'd say Rajasthan are, well, they're pretty much one win away from securing a playoff spot, aren't they? So
I think so, yeah.
unless something goes absolutely terribly wrong, they're pretty much in the playoffs. They'll obviously be hoping to get in that top spot. KKR are looking really strong. They're just looking so aggressive. Like, you can tell by their net run rate. They've played 6 matches. They've got a net run rate of 1.4, and that's including 2 losses. So, and I think that's mostly down to Narine, to be honest.
I
It's
think it is.
been
It's
really
been
impressive.
Narine and Phil Salt have been the two real big players to score. I think, yeah, that's been the thing for them. And I think without the two of them, like Rinku Singh's not had quite a year like last year. Neither's Andre Russell. But yeah, that was top of the table clash. They're definitely there looking to win. So we'll be there covering the rest of this IPL. Everyone's back from holiday now. We'll be picking up games as we can. We'll be doing a recap on the members only of the last few games. So if you want to check that out, remember remember to become a member, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.